Welcome back, focused learners, to today's Explainer. I am so pumped to unpack this one with you because we're taking direct aim at something that honestly is treated like secular scripture in the modern self-improvement world, the 5-year plan. You know the drill. We're constantly told that a life without a rigid destination, without quarterly targets and pristine vision boards, is just a life without a rudder. But what if that's completely backwards? The research and data we're diving into today suggests something totally different. We are going to rethink the entire paradigm of achievement.
Is your 5-year plan actually holding you back? Now, I know what you're thinking. Questioning the validity of goal setting feels deeply countercultural, right? It almost feels a little irresponsible. But for so many high achievers, chasing these targets doesn't feel like some empowering journey. It feels way more like a sprint on a hedonic treadmill, exhausting, super repetitive, and ultimately, you're just standing still. Today, we're exploring a pretty subversive idea. What if our absolute obsession with the destination is frequently the exact thing that prevents us from truly arriving?
Okay, let's dive right into this. Part 1, the myth of goals and the tyranny of the not yet.
We've got to start by looking at the emotional pain point of this constant optimization culture. Traditional goal setting acts like this psychological ledger where every single day that doesn't end in a milestone is basically recorded as a loss. It manufactures a totally artificial deficit in the present moment. Think about this number, 99%. I want you to really absorb that. By fixating on a distant outcome, you are spending 99% of your time in a self-imposed state of failure. You're literally living in the not yet. It's like holding your breath for an entire year just so you can enjoy a 5-second exhale. This rigid framing completely discards the massive value of everyday growth, learning, and nuance simply because it hasn't magically resolved into a predefined outcome yet.
And then, what happens when you finally hit that remaining 1%? When you cross that finish line? Well, you slam right into a brick wall called the arrival fallacy. This is one of the most reliably reported experiences among top performers. It's exactly why you see so many Olympic athletes reporting severe depression the week after winning a gold medal. We all just assume that reaching a milestone will deliver lasting happiness, but the reality? The emotional payoff is shockingly brief. Your brain's baseline adapts incredibly fast, the high just evaporates, and you are left with this empty void that instantly demands the construction of a brand new goal. Let's look at how this builds into a massive psychological toll. First up, perpetual deferral. We end up treating the present moment as mere preparation for a future that might never actually satisfy us. Second is manufactured failure. We actually take genuine positive development and brand it as a failure simply because it doesn't look exactly like the finish line. And honestly, the most dangerous one is identity fragility. When you tightly couple your self-worth to these outcome-based checkboxes, everyday setbacks suddenly warp into existential threats. Your identity becomes completely tethered to your performance rather than your actual values.
Which brings us right to our next point. Part 2, the structural flaws and the measurement trap.
So we've seen the emotional toll, right? But the crazy thing is, the whole apparatus of modern productivity actually limits our potential on a purely structural level too. And this brilliantly illustrates the classic map versus territory problem. You know the SMART goal framework? Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. It's great for simple tasks, but it's a remarkably blunt instrument for a complex human life. It systematically favors what is easy to quantify, things like salary, a GPA, or marathon times, over what is actually deeply meaningful, like cultivating wisdom, deepening your character, or building real relationships. When we only optimize for the metric, we mistake the map for the actual territory of a well-lived life.
Another huge structural flaw here is cognitive tunneling, or what psychologists call inattentional blindness. Basically, when you become hyper-focused on one single specific target, your attention narrows drastically. Now, sure, that sounds amazing for short-term intensity, but it makes you completely blind to better, unexpected opportunities that might be popping up right in your periphery. You get so gripped by the tunnel vision of that specific target that you systematically devalue all these incredible adjacent possibilities.
And this tunnel vision carries some severe hidden costs. First off, you miss out on serendipity. Let's be real. Life's absolute best, most transformative moments are disproportionately unplanned. Then, you run into the over-justification effect. This is where you attach external metrics to things you naturally love doing, and suddenly a pleasurable hobby turns into a transactional hustle, completely destroying your intrinsic motivation. And finally, you have the sunk cost of an obsolete self. Look, a meaningful goal can take years. The person who set the goal is not the same person who completes it. We essentially trap ourselves into honoring commitments that were made by a past version of ourselves who literally no longer exists.
So how on earth do we break free from this? Let's move to part 3, the antidote. Systems over destinations.
We desperately need a transformative, evidence-based solution to this exhausting cycle. And it really comes down to a major shift, moving our focus away from distant destinations and anchoring it firmly in our daily rhythms. As James Clear so brilliantly puts it, you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Think about the fundamental irony of achievement here. Winners and losers often have the exact same goals. No way, right? But it's true. Everyone at the starting line desperately wants to win the race. So the true differentiator is never the desire. It's the architecture of their days. It is the system.
Now, what's really interesting about this direct comparison is the massive paradigm shift that emerges. Psychologically speaking, a goal-oriented approach means you only win at the very end of the journey. But a systems-oriented approach, you win every single day the work is done. It fundamentally shifts your identity. Instead of being performance-based, like saying, I want to run a marathon, it becomes identity-based, where you simply say, I am a runner. It completely replaces the fragility of fixed targets with the robust, adaptable resilience of daily processes.
Think about the practical, everyday energy required for both of these mindsets. Goal-oriented thinking treats the present like a maintenance tax. It becomes this exhausting slog of managing complex tracking apps, huge spreadsheets, and constant check-ins. It's fueled by finite willpower, and let's face it, that inevitably leads straight to decision fatigue. Systems, on the other hand, act more like a bicycle for the mind. By building quiet, sustainable, and totally automatic habits, the work stops being just a means to an end. It actually becomes its own compounding reward.
Let's bring it all together in our final section. Part 4. The New Compass and Moving Toward a Quality of Presence.
So the crucial point here isn't to just completely abandon ambition. Not at all. We want to reframe it. How can high achievers effectively use goals moving forward without falling right back into that binary trap? Well, here is your sustainable alternative. Number 1. Use goals merely as loose compass bearings. They should give you a general sense of true north to prevent you from just floating around passively, but they absolutely shouldn't be your life's strict organizing principle. Number 2, shift to building those identity-based habits. Number 3, genuinely fall in love with mastering the daily process and just let the outcomes be a natural byproduct. And number 4, stay curious. Maintain enough fluidity to pivot whenever unexpected serendipity strikes.
I want to conclude with this haunting but honestly brilliant thought. The things in life most worth having, true wisdom, creative mastery, genuine character, they cannot be forced through the narrow aperture of a goal. They accrue quietly right beneath the surface. Because a life well lived isn't just a series of achieved targets. It is a quality of presence that absolutely no productivity system can ever optimize. So, if your current plan were to just disappear tomorrow, who would you be in the silence that followed? Thank you so much for exploring this with me today. Keep focusing on those daily rhythms, and I'll see you in the next explainer.